And joining me in studio, writer and journalist Tsur Shezaf. Tsur, great to have you with us. Now, you were in Iraq and met with Yazidi refugees at the time of ISIS, when they were at the peak of fleeing from their grip. What do you make of the way that the vote went today and the way that Israeli lawmakers are justifying it?
Well, I cannot understand the Israeli Knesset, no, the lawmakers. I think that the little thing that we saw, the report that we saw, as they were saying that maybe they were frightened that it will cause them to raise their hands and vote on the genocide of the Armenians and what is happening to the Rohingya in Myanmar. And these are political moves. Me as a person, as a human being, is something that's very obvious. You know, in Judaism we say that one soul, if you save one soul, you save the world. So if you kill one, then you kill a world. And as we know that the Yazidis were killed by the thousands, raped, being enslaved as sex slaves, and the little children were Islamized and taking as warriors the lines of the Islamic State. I see this decision as a shameful one and one that cannot be, no one can understand it. As an Israeli, I'm ashamed of my government.
Now, Armenia is the only country to officially recognise the Yazidi genocide. Should Israel not be, I suppose, a pioneer in this? Should it not ignore the fact, as Tzipi Hotovely said, that there is no UN resolution like it dismisses other UN resolutions?
First of all, Israel should be the first one to stand with the people that were oppressed, genocide, killed, raped, and all the other stuff. And this is something that Israel should have been doing, should be the first country, and not Armenia. And Israel should declare that it recognizes also what happened to Armenians and to the Rohingyas. The problem with Israel that is going into the 21st century like the worst of the countries, selling weapons to oppressing regimes and ignoring the suffering of the people. Maybe this is a new age, maybe this is the 21st century, but me as a person who is coming from the 20th century, I don't really like it.
What does it cost a country like Israel to recognise the Yazidi genocide? I
think it's like, this time, the Yazidis are actually drowning in the gas factor of the Eastern Mediterranean. Israel is sort of co-partner with Russia and Turkey about the gas that has been found in the Eastern Mediterranean. And therefore Israel doesn't want to anger Turkey. And anything that goes in the direction of recognizing a Holocaust or a genocide of a nation is in a move that might anger Erdogan, and nobody knows what he's going to do. So this is, Israel is being very, very careful about it. But there are things that you cannot be careful. This is not politics. This is life and death. And this is the way that the world should or should not behave. The problem with the leaders of this time of the 21st century, that they ignore human beings, they ignore killing, they ignore rape, they ignore all the atrocities, and they sponsor the gas and the money.
What stood out to you when you spent time with those Yazidi refugees in Iraq? What stood out to you most from the stories that they shared with you?
Well, I think the most horrible thing is that they were persecuted because of their belief, because they were something different, because they were advanced, because they were not Muslims in the way that the righteous Muslims of the Islamic States wanted them to be. And I think that this is, they became like the prize of war. And I think that if you put people as prize of war, and then you can kill them, and you can enslave them, and you can kidnap them, this is the one thing that no one should accept. And this is something that, if there is something that we should have gone and said, no, we're not willing, this is a genocide, we condemn it, this is the place that we should have done it.
Very briefly, what's become of the Yazidi refugees now? Where are they now? It
depends. Some of the Yazidis return to the villages and the places, but the villages are destroyed, destructed, and should be, of course, been built. There are some that are still in the refugee camps. There are those who are still with the Islamic State or are lost. And I think that the worst are actually the boys, those who were actually brainwashed towards Islam and made as little soldiers, sometimes at the age of 10 or 11, and they are actually living bombs that you cannot let on their own.
Absolutely heartbreaking.